Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to tell about all about Python for loop. Okay. In previous video, we learned overview of Python loops. Okay. In this video, I'm going to tell detail about Python for loop. Okay. Let's begin. Python for loop. Python is a strong, universally applicable pre-arranging language planned to be easy to comprehend and carry out. It is allowed to get to because it is open source. In this video series, we will learn how to use Python for loops, one of the most fundamental looping instruction in Python programming. Okay, let's begin. Introduction to for loop in Python. Python frequently used the loop to iterate over iterable objects like list, tuples, and strings. Crossing is the most common way of emphasizing crosses of series. For loop are used when the section of code need to be repeated a certain number of times. The for circle is typically utilized on an iterable item. For example, a rundown or the infabricated range capability. In Python, the for loop for statement runs the code block of each time it traverses a series of elements. On the other end, the while loop is used when the condition need to be verified after each repetition or when the piece of code need to be repeated indefinitely. The for statement is opposite to this loop. Okay. Syntax of for loop. This is the syntax. The value is the parameter that determines the element's value within the iteratable sequence on each iteration. When a sequence contains expression statements, they are processed first. The first element in the sequence is then assigned to the iterating variable. From that point onwards, the planned block is run. Each element in the sequence is assigned to the iterating variable during this statement block until the sequence as whole is completed. Using with using indentation, the content of the loop are distinguished from the remainder of the program. Okay, this is the syntax of for loop. This is a flow chart of Python for loop. Here it enters the loop, then it's checking last element in this sequence. If it is true, it come out, it terminate the loop. If the element is still left in the sequence, then it will again enter to the body of the loop. Again it will iterate. Once all the elements is completed, then it will come out from the loop and it terminates the loop. Okay, this is a flowchart and this is how Python for loop works. Okay, this is simple example for Python for loop using string. Okay, this is variable name and this is Python. This is a string. This is for loop. I am iterating each words. Okay, each letters in this sequence. Python first it checks Python P, then it returns Y T H Y. Each item it will iterate. Once it will reaches to end n, then it will stop and terminate the loop. Okay, this is how Python loops works. Now we will see how to use range function in Python for loop. Okay, since the range capability show up the habitually in for circles, we could erroneously accept the reach as the part of the punctuation for the circle. It's not. It is a built-in Python method. Range is the built-in Python method that fulfills the requirements for providing a series of the expression to run over the following a particular pattern, typically series of integers. Mainly they can act right on the sequence. No, so counting is unnecessarily. So now we will see example for how to use range function in Python for loop. Okay, Let's start. This is just example how we can use range function in Python for loop. This is value, this is variable name, and range equal to 4. Range equal to 4 means it is 0 to 3. Okay, now we have to using for loop in range 4. Okay, here we need to see. So when I print I, the output will be 0 to 3. Okay, this is the output. This is a simple example how we can use range function in Python for loop. Okay, now we will see detail about that simple example how it works. It in first iteration, value of I is 0, prints 0, it will print 0. Okay, then it checks this is the last item in sequence. No, because still 3 more items is left, so again it will come to second. Value of I is that time 1, print, again it will print 1. So again it will check this is the last item in this sequence. No, again third loop, the element value of is 2, again it prints 2. Again it checks this is the last item in sequence. No, this is again it will come to fourth iteration, the value of fourth iteration is 3, again 3. So now again it will check this is the last item in sequence. Yes, because we just set the range 0 to 4. Okay, the loop terminates. This is how that simple example Python for loop using range function works. In Python for loop we can use else clause also. So now here we'll learn how to use else in Python for loops. Okay, so here this is the variable in that I'm declaring array in that the elements 0 1 5. So I started for loop of for I in digits, print I, else no element left. Okay, the output is 0 1 5. Once the elements is all the elements is completed, in else it will come to else part. Okay, that time it will print no elements left because only 3 elements is there, 0 1 5. Once all the elements printed, there is no elements in the array. Okay, so it will return no element left in the array. This is how else clause will work in Python for loop. Okay, note the else block will not execute if the for loop is stopped by the break statement. If you gave break statement by in here, so that time it will not come to else part. Okay, it will ended over here itself. Okay, this is how else clause will work in Python for loop. Now we will see nested for loops. Nested for loop means for loop within for loop. Okay, that we basically call nested for loops. A for loop can also have another for loop inside it. For each cycle of the outer loop, the inner loop completes its entered sequence of iteration. For example, this is outer loop, this is inner loop. So this is example basically using range function. Okay, see, range equal to 2 means 0 to 1. See, hi, it starts the iteration here. I equal to 0, again it will come to this, j equal to 0, again it will go to here, I equal to 0, again it will come to here, j equal to 1. So now again it will go to here, I equal to 1, again it will come to here, j equal to 0. So again I equal to 1, z equal to 1. So this is the output, how the nested for loop works. Okay, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share. If you have any queries, please comment below. Thank you.